Step down. Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. We out here once again. We're gonna get right into it. There's a lot going on, and we're gonna speak on a couple of things. Now, I think on the 23rd, you had a lot of Christians saying that was going to be the rapture, and so a lot of them were expecting not to be here right about now. But guess what? What was it? 24th? No, what was that? Post rapture? What's up?
Yeah, post rapture. Post rapture. What's up?
Yeah, post rapture. What's up? We all in here, right? We all in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? I see you at work. You know, I see you on the job. They probably looking a little livid now. You know, on the job, because guess what? The scriptures tell you. And then we're gonna get into the topic, but the scriptures tell you that no man, not even the Yahweh Shai, knows the day of his return. But some, apparently, I don't know if it was like a Nigerian pastor, he just comes up out of nowhere and tells you that the rapture is on the 23rd, and all of a sudden, everybody's up on it. You know, and that's the problem with society today. Via social media, via TikTok, people believe anything. You know, they believe any and every word that they see just because it's viral. Oh, if it's viral, then it must mean that there's some truth to it, or if it's viral, then it must mean that it's a thing. So people just jump right on it. And that matter of fact, let's go to Revelation. I think it's 1 and 3, where it talks about blessed is he that readeth. Let's get that real quick, because a lot of people they don't read the scriptures. They don't even use their brains. They got brain rot, false prophet edition, to where they depend so much on these false pastors and false prophets, they can't think for themselves. All right. That's why they believe the scriptures say they're tossed to with every wind of doctrine. That's these so-called Christians out here. They're tossed to with every wind of doctrine. Go ahead.
This is book of Revelation, chapter 1 and 3, and it reads, blessed he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is thy hand.
Yeah. So blessed is he that readeth, right? So you got to actually read the book. You got to read the scriptures. You got to, when you hear it, you got to read it and make sure that it makes sense. Be fully persuaded in your own mind, okay, and keep the sayings of the book. All right, because if you don't keep the sayings of the book, the scriptures say that they are faithful and they are true. So what's going to happen to you? The unfaithful, all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. And that's the direction the world is going. The world is descending into a time of chaos, a time of violence, unlike anything you've seen before. And a lot of people are not ready for that. They're just going, one day they're just going to wake up and they're just going to get caught up in it. And it's going to feel like that to them because they haven't been paying attention. Now, what you see going on is this divide between the left and the right, as they call it. And now they're really, I think recently they said that there was some official, someone that got assaulted at in the bathroom at speaking of war, it says President Trump says he's directing Secretary of War to send U.S. troops to Portland, Oregon. So what's going on there? Right, to send U.S. troops to Portland, Oregon. Why? And he's directing the Department of the Secretary of War to do that. So them renaming it the Department of from Defense to War, appointing a Secretary of War, having these troops on standby. You already know what time it is. All right, we're in that time of that chaos and of that war. And now what they're doing more and more is they coming on the avenue of this crime in the city that needs to, they got to put an end to it. But at the same time, there's this, like in the movie Bushwick, there's this and the movie Civil War, there's this divide that they're pushing, starting with the whole Democrats and then the Republicans. Now they've gone to the point of terrorists. It's like the terrorists and the T's and the anti-T's. And now they're attacking ICE facilities. They're actually shooting. You know what I'm saying? They're killing people. When you cross that line, ain't no coming back from that, because then this guy's the type to say, yo, I've authorized these troops to use lethal force against anybody that may try to harm them or may try to harm any ICE facilities or try to harm any federal agents. They have the right to use lethal force. At that point, I mean, shit, niggas who switches ain't gonna do nothing. They're gonna be switching you from life to death, like in the vision that that individual had. You know, where he said the field was full of blood. So that was it on that. You got something, Haran? Oh,
Want to speak on?
yeah, go ahead.
When you just read the scripture, blessed he that readeth. So if these Christians really read the Bible, they would have been like, they would have seen the scripture where it says, not even Yahweh Shai knows the time. So they should have gone up to the pastor and was like, pastor. But it says right here that not even Yahweh Shai knows what time he's coming. Are you saying that you're greater than Yahweh Shai?
Mm.
So that shows you that they don't even open their Bible, except when the pastor opens the Bible on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a very good point. They don't even know it's in there.
Mhm.
You know, whatever's in there is whatever the pastor tells them is in there. And if you come with anything else, they're gonna say you're the child of the devil. You're asking questions, it's sealed. So why are you trying to? They're gonna say, "Are you greater than the Lord?" You trying to unseal the things that He done sealed. You know, now ain't the time for that. we not in the time for that right now. Yeah, I was saying, Haran, you had something?
Yeah, cut.
Okay.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was going to add a quick precept as you were speaking. Precept popped in my mind, which is Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 15. It says, "The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his goings." Right, and ultimately, a prudent man will be likened unto a man of the Lord / an elect man of the Lord / an elect in general. Right, because if you're prudent, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be adhering to what the scriptures say and how to diligently measure the times, right? You're looking at the signs, you're looking at prophecy, you're looking at, as we just brought out in Revelation 1 and 3, blessed is he that readeth. Majority of these so-called Christians do not read the Bible. And it wasn't until the Hebrew Israelites popped on the scene, then they started actually picking up the Bible to read it, to say, oh, well, this is what they're saying is from the Bible. Let me go and find what I can use to debunk what they're saying. And by doing that, they arrive at the same answer, and then they have no choice but to either just say, "Oh, nah, what you guys are saying isn't true," or "What you guys are saying is true," because that's what's in the scriptures, right? So if you lack the understanding of the scriptures, you're gonna end up like these so-called rapture people sitting around waiting. And as we were talking yesterday, October 1st is coming. Rent is due. So if you out here thinking you was going to escape all that, you're talking about, oh, the rapture is coming and we're gonna be out of here. October 1st, and we told you, we did videos saying September 26th gonna come, September 30th is gonna be here, October 1st is gonna show up here. You're gonna be right here with us. You're not gonna escape nothing. All right. Now you have, as we're going into the topic, right? War is brewing. You have, like you just mentioned, the Secretary of War. All right, I believe either next week, sometime next week, he called for all the mighty men in their military to come back. Right, all the top generals, the brigadiers, the admirals, and so on and so forth, because they're gonna have a meeting, an impromptu meeting, and everybody's like, "Yo, this doesn't happen, by chance. This means this is a big thing that's about to happen. Whatever it is that they're about to discuss, right? This is big, right? It's a huge deal. But what's going on right now? You got this going on. I'm gonna show you this real quick, if you don't mind. This is what we got going on. This is your Secretary of War. This is what he's doing.
I want to see the gritty. Yeah, I want to see the gritty.
You see, that's your Secretary of War right there. He's doing what they call the gritty. All right, he's at a football game, dressed as a civilian, all tatted up, and this is what he's doing. Okay, so it goes to show you. And I was thinking about it. I said, yo, this is all. You got all these different. We being in a time of war. This is what your Secretary of War is doing. All right. And you got people in the comments saying, oh, wow, I love to see our Secretary of War, be a regular human being for once. Oh, he's having fun. What's wrong with that? And I'm like, you people have no idea what the hell is going on. You're not going to see the Secretary of War from Russia doing this type of shit. You're not going to see the Chinese niggas doing this type of shit. They are training and getting ready for actual war. Okay? Them Ukrainians over there at war, they going through it. All right, you got all these different people, what they call sleeper cells, that they said they came through the border over the past couple of years, that they're getting ready to do what they got to do in various states. This, what you're seeing now, all the so-called shootings that's happening out of nowhere. Well, a couple of days ago, they said somebody from ICE got popped or some shit like that. They come up all these stories. This is all psyops. They're getting you ready for the actual brutality that's going to be on American soil very soon. it's all going to be justified because they did say that. Going back to Albert Pike and what he said, right, about the nihilists on releasing them so they can come out here and tear ass, right? What you about to see? I had to. What you about to see is shred. You know, your Secretary of War is having a good old time. Meanwhile, you niggas getting ready to be drafted. That's what's coming, right? That dream that young fella had about a whole bunch of YNs being shot up on the field and all that. That's you getting drafted. Okay, you being sent overseas to go fight for the interests of Israel. That's what's about to happen to you niggas, man. All right. So all this stuff that's going on, you have the prophets who are paying attention. People who are in the world are also seeing these things, but they thought they were going to run up out of here talking about the rapture. Well, guess what? The reality is you're still here with us here in America, Babylon the Great. You're still about to go through Jacob's trouble. You're still about to go through the mandatory sea hipping. You're still about to go through martial law. You're still about to go through, you so-called Christians about to get rounded up and sent into all kinds of FEMA camps. All right. I think, Bakar, you put a video in the chat a couple of days ago or yesterday. It was an article, but then they had a video with it. And then they said, what state was it? I think it was in Illinois, Chicago, where they had the ICE niggas had barricaded. They used fences. Yeah. So it's like you already creating this image that, oh, we're here to keep the community safe, but we're fencing everything off. Where's the safety in that? There's a division there. There's a clear division. When you start fencing shit around like that, like you letting it be known, like non-verbally, we're letting you know we are on two different sides of the fence, so to speak. Okay. And then the elder put another video in the chat where you got this lady. She was crying. I guess her husband or her children were being taken or something, and she's crying. And then the guy was like, "Hey, man, back up, back up." And after 2 or 3 backups, he just shoved her down to the ground, man. You know what I'm saying? So they shall be like madmen sparing none. We're starting to see that brew up. So you got all these things going on. You got people out here talking about they're gonna go into a field somewhere and scream because life is hard. Well, it's about to get even worse. Okay, yeah, we got women in Cali. They go on top of a mountain somewhere and they just scream because all that rage that they got in there, they're just gonna scream and it's all gonna go away. You see, that's one thing America has showed you, which is whenever you're going through something, don't actually figure out how to fix it. Just fucking throw a tantrum and hope somebody's gonna come and fix it for you. That's what Americans have been taught to believe. You can't take matters into your own hands. You can't try to save your family. Oh, my house is being raided in. You got YNs coming and break into my home. Honey, just go upstairs with the kids. We're all gonna be in one room and let's call 911. You a man. You're supposed to be the strength of the house, the defense of the house. What happened to that? Okay, a lot of you niggas have been neutered, man. They cut off all your nuts, right? So you think the only way they snipped it. So now a lot of you niggas is castrated. Your dogs that can't bark. Your dogs that are not threats. You just talk shit, and then when the threat comes, you tuck tail and you run. Okay? Very soon, like we've been saying, 911 is going to need 911. We're coming into the time, like the title says, war. Okay? Division before war. All right? Quick precept here. There's a book of Matthew chapter 24, and I know, brothers, we're going to pull that up, but I got it here, so I'm going to just read it. Matthew chapter 24, start off at verse 5. It says, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many." Right? So that spirit is what you just saw with the rapture. Okay, they didn't come in the name of Muhammad or Buddha or whatever. They came in the name of Hamashiach. They were on some like, oh, the Lord is coming back. The rapture. He's going to come pick us up out of here. The Christians, we're saved. We're going to be beamed up. Really? Really? You still here. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars." And that's what you see all across the board. Now they say NATO is openly, now they make a war against Russia. So Russia has admitted it. Like, yo, all these years where y'all were using Ukraine as a proxy to come to war against us because Ukraine is not a NATO country, because all that shit y'all were doing, it was really Russia against NATO. Because the training that Ukrainians were using was from NATO, right? You had Jens Stoltenberg, right? He was the UN, no, not the UN, the NATO, the head of NATO at that time when the whole Ukraine shit started. I don't know if he's still there or if he stepped down or what the situation is. All right, but during his time, you had Sergei Lavrov making statements saying, "Yo, we're at war with NATO right now, and if Biden and them don't correct what they're doing out there in Ukraine, the world is going to wake up to a nightmare that they can't unsee. We're gonna fuck shit up, basically." All right, and the Lord says, "Nah, it's not time yet." And we kept saying it, "It's not time yet. It's not gonna go nuclear until the CHIP come." And now you got the UK out here saying, "Hey, the digital ID is gonna be mandatory for you to work." That's that. Hey, we're there, man. And the UK does it. What happens next? America's gonna do it. You're gonna see Israel doing it. All these different major, just like the CHIP. I mean, the C19 when it happened. Look at the pattern. Look at the trends. Look at all the countries that did those changes. Those Vanessa passports. All those different things. Look at China. They're gonna do it again. Look at Israel, like I said. Look at the UK. All right. Look at all these different countries, even African countries. They don't even got to go too far because they already got the system ready to go. Digital IDs and all that is already in there. All right. You go to biometrics.com right now, you're gonna read all about it. Every day I look at that shit. I'm like, damn, like all these countries are going around and making it happen. Meanwhile, America is kind of like, oh, we're just worried about AI right now. No, you're not. No, you're not. All right. It's all a setup. The people right now are at the best place for them to make their move, which is you're broke, you're hopeless, you're poor. You ain't got no jobs, you ain't got no work. America has turned around and it's like, oh, we thought Trump was going to do something, but this guy's turned on us. Like everything is all in shambles right now, and that's the perfect time to spark the rage and then bring in that order, right? So verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay, that's the key right there. So we know that the end is not yet, right? So continuing, it says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these things we've seen and we're about to see even more. Why? Because the Lord says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Are we not in a time of sorrows right now?
Hey, I just remember something as you were speaking. So you know how it's weird. You know how like sometimes I know you do it a lot. That's why we call you antennas. You'll get like a feeling in the spirit, right? Where you're just like it'll just like be a thought that comes to your mind. Sometimes the spirit talks to you and it feels like it's your own voice in your head, but when it's whatever it's saying to you is not things that you're thinking about. It's just sort of like entering your mind, so to speak. Um, and I remember I woke up. I think this is yesterday or the day before. I woke up and just randomly, just the name, just like Hexeth. It was just in my head. I'm just like, oh, why is this guy's random ass name in my head? Like I know who he is, but it was just around the when you hear a song that's catchy and every couple of seconds it's just back in your head. You're like, oh my god, here we go. So it was like that. It's a Hexeth, and I'm like, yo, Hexeth. And then I remember the article where it said that he was like they gathered a it was like some emergency like meeting, cabinet meeting or whatever, like some war meeting, whatever. And in my head, like every time the thought of Hexeth will come to mind, I just put it off. But this time I was like, all right, fine, Hexeth, what? Why Hexeth? Hexeth? And then my mind went to that little group meeting, right? And then I'm like, okay, war, but like, with who? Like, why are they war? What kind of war? Are they going with Russia? Are they going to NATO and whatever? Is it with Israel? Is it with Iran? And then the other thought that came to my head was Antifa. So like I said, it was just like random thoughts, but I wasn't thinking of that. It was just like randomly entering my head. So it was I was like, okay, Hexeth war with Antifa, but like, what? Then my mind started going on like the DTs, like the whole, DT, whatever, them basically waging war against, and that's where that whole divide shit, starts coming through. So it's interesting that after I thought that, the whole Hexeth thing just left. I stopped thinking about it. But in my head, I was like, oh, this must be what Haram be talking about. I'm gonna wait and see what happens. Right? I'm gonna see if any news or something like that comes based off of this. So it's interesting that today, it just literally just clicked in my head today that we just saw that article saying Trump said he appointed his Secretary of War to basically authorize or send troops over there to Portland. Now, when you look at how it's being worded here, he said, let's see if I can find it. I hope I didn't lose it. I probably lost it, but I'll find it again. I don't like losing things, But he said, this is what Trump said, right? He said at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland. So now he's referring to Portland as a war-ravaged Portland, right? And every time we talk about martial law, the word martial it goes back to war, okay? War-like law, martial arts, warlike arts, okay? So it's interesting that he's using that term, war-ravaged Portland. And who's the opposite side of that war? It says here, and and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I am also authorizing full force. Didn't we just start off the lesson talking about how, before even seeing this, that he's the type to say, like, I'm going to give the troops lethal force, and if they get attacked, they can use lethal force to respond? So it says here, I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, doesn't that sound like them purge announcements? So it's real interesting that, once again, and we told you this, they work with gradualism. Is that Biden? Oh, no, it ain't. They work with gradualism. And two, we told you where it was going to end up. Because now they've normalized it, but at a faster rate. So they got troops out here on standby, really on deck, because they got them in some of these cities. They set up these ICE facilities, like Haran was saying, where now they're fencing them like FEMA camps. When you watching the trailer of the movie Gray State, you see that. When they turned the Walmarts into FEMA camps, they had fences. People were behind the fences, you know? And then now they're setting up this whole thing about these DTs. So when you throw in that Antifa and other domestic terrorists, at that point, we're at the point where he's pretty much going to declare martial law soon. Because these quote unquote attacks from the opposing side are not going to stop. They've already set the scene. So, you know, as we've been telling you, once again, going back to the topic, it's all spiritual. Division, then war. That division is what we're seeing, like Haran was reading in Matthew, which I'll let you go back to continue reading that. But that's that division that we're seeing, and that's leading into what? It's descending into chaos and war. So this guy's going to be a wartime president, and he's going to use his war powers. So all those executive orders that are on board, those FEMA executive orders, he's going to bring all of them right back into full play. And you're going to see what the time of Jacob's trouble, what the great wrath that they're going to come down with. You're going to see what it looks like. You got it, bro.
Yeah, you know, for over the years, before I go back to the precept, over the years we've been the main ones. All right, starting from my elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, we've been the main ones telling Americans that, and around the world, that all these things are going to come to pass. There's going to come a day, there's going to come a time where America is not going to be the America that you're used to. And back then, people were like, yeah, whatever, yeah, you guys are just fear mongering. Oh, you guys are just crazy. Yeah, for a martial law, yeah, conspiracy. Now you're starting to see these things all come to play. They're not going, at first we thought they're just going to declare martial law and then that's it. Nah, they know that people are awake and privy to that concept of martial law. And we said this before, about a month ago, that they will slowly bring this in just like they do with everything else. It's a rollout. All right, a rollout meaning they go state by state, little by little. And then once they have enough, they're just going to shut the whole thing down and just take over after that. At that point, they justified. Okay, because they already got the troops there. They already got the places fenced up. They already got the military war armaments and all that ready to go. Right? So at that point, it's like you're at their mercy. And imagine if this happens in the wintertime where people are lacking resources. You're already at the mercy of them. It's going to be more of like, yeah, listen, you're going to do as we say. Because this is what happens during martial law. Martial law suspends all existing laws. That includes your constitutional so-called rights and so on and so forth. Okay? So just remember that. It says martial law suspends all existing laws as well as civil authority and the ordinary administration of justice. Why? Because you're no longer going to be dealing with, the Supreme Court or whatever. No, you're dealing with the military tribunal, meaning everything is going to go through the military courts, so to speak. All right. And in that case, you're not going to be on some like, my First Amendment right this. No. You're going to be treated it's like a wartime, like you said, wartime law. You know, so it's going to be like everything is going to be treated like wartime. And if Americans, was it 90%? Going back, this is a couple of years ago when the FBI director at that time, Christopher Wray, when he said that they came up with a survey and they said that over 90% of Americans are already considered domestic teas. 90%. And what can get you on that list is basically just exactly what people are doing today, both sides, which is, oh shit, they send all the money to Israel and we here suffering. You're a domestic tea right there off the bat. Just by saying that, you made that point. You notice what's actually going on. You're a domestic tea, bro. They're already coming for you. And what did the other whore, what's her name, Pam Bondi? She came out. She said, "We're gonna come after you. We're gonna come after hate. All this extra shit." Cash Patel, the nigga with the one eye on this side, other eye going that way. Him. He also came out and said that we need to come together and make sure that our friends, what did he say? Our friends Israel were in line with our friends Israel. And then one eye's here, one eye's there. I'm like, this nigga, you can't take this nigga serious, bro. Who is he looking at? All right. It says the United States martial law may be declared by proclamation of the president or a state governor, but such a formal proclamation is not necessary. Ooh, it's not necessary. See what I'm saying? So you got that to look forward to. It says, what are the grounds for declaring martial law? Section 18, Article 7 of the 1987 Constitution is clear that martial law must be founded on two factual bases. One, the existence of actual rebellion or invasion. You already got that. Okay, because they already told you that the migrants and all that's an invasion, right? Trump has used that word. He's called them animals. Right, he's used that verbiage, which is a dehumanization tactic. That's what Stalin was doing. That's what Hitler was doing. All right, before they come after the people, they dehumanize them. They use these down-speaking words so that way they're justified when they come after them. Because after all, you're nothing but vermin. You're nothing but a disease that needs to be gotten rid of. Right, so that's what they're gonna say. Right. Two, public safety. That's what they've been pushing. Public safety requires the declaration of martial law or suspension of the privilege of the writ to suppress rebellion or invasion. So they have those two bases ready to go right now as we speak. Isn't that what they've been preaching? Safety, 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 safety. Right? Now they're telling you that the people who are here to keep you safe, they are worried about their safety. ICE is worried about their safety because people are starting to shoot them up. So now we got to do things to protect ICE. You got police officers now. It's become a thing where when they approach you, they tell you to do what you don't want to do, whether you like it or not, because it's for their safety. Put your hands on the wheel. It's for my safety. Roll your window down. It's for my safety. Step out the vehicle. It's for my safety. Nigga, what do you want me to do? Ain't you supposed to be a police officer? You're supposed to keep the community safe, but you coming out here preaching to me that I need to do things to make you safe. You're making me uncomfortable, boy. Anyway, this is the state of America right now. Okay, just an example of things that's actually happening in this country that people are just batting an eye acting like it's not happening. The reality is this. Let's read. Going back to Matthew 24 and verse 8, it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Isn't that what you're seeing now? Okay, all these things that they're doing. It's not just regular people that just going to wake up one day and just say, oh, we hate you niggas from that. No. It's the governments who are preparing the people by putting out all this propaganda through the news media, pushing all this, oh, this is anti-this and hate this. This is what they're pushing. They're telling you, right, you can't speak and say this because we'll consider that hate. Meanwhile, we actually going to do hateful things to you and be justified in doing that. That's what you're seeing. It's all hypocrisy, man. Okay? So it says, and they shall deliver you up to be afflicted. Who's going to be doing the delivering up? All right, when it tells you in 2nd Ezra that they shall take some of you out of your homes, right? Some of you are going to be cast into prison. The Lord told us that in Revelation, right? Some of us are going to be cast into prison 10 days and so on and so forth. All right, persecution at an all-time high. That's what that's talking about. Okay, it says, and they shall kill you. So some of us are going to be put to death, but that's okay, because remember this: if you're serving the Lord right now, in this truth right now, and you get put to death for serving the Lord, that's an automatic crown on your head, bro. You went out for doing the right thing. You went out for standing so stiffly for the name of the Lord. They took you out for righteousness. Like, you represented the King of righteousness, and they took you out because of that. Man, stop, man. It says, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my namesake. But yet Esau is trying to demonize the word hate. Okay, but the scriptures tell you that we're going to be hated for his namesake. So by teaching this word and preaching the truth, especially the times that we're coming into, right, they're going to demonize us even on a whole nother level. Get ready for all kinds of different Masonic diversion tactics left and right, deep fake left and right, propaganda left and right, all kinds of shit they're going to be doing to justify what they're about to come down upon the people with, man. Revelation 12 and 12. Okay, that great wrath is coming. All right, that great wrath is coming. Okay, it says, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another, and they shall hate one another. And that's what you see now. Again, that word hate is back again. So literally back-to-back verses, you got the word hate in there. Right, and then we're in a time where they're all pushing against hate. Oh, we're not going to stand for hate and this and that, right? And just so you know, Esau, by just trying to change the definition and understanding of words doesn't change what it actually does or what it means. All right, just because you want people to associate the word hate as a taboo, you can't say that word. Oh, hate, that's hate. No, speaking the truth is not hate, and we're gonna continue speaking the truth because ultimately it's gonna clash. We're gonna have to clash, man. And when you clash, you know what you're gonna run into. the rock of our defense, you know, you can't kick against him. All right, but you got it, bro.
That's right. Let's get that. Oh, actually, I have it here. Um, so that's on that side, right? Of what Trump is doing with the deployment of the troops. But on the other side, I saw this article yesterday. We could just read through this. Just use code words accordingly, right? If you see T's, okay, kind of. If you see T's, just call them T's. But anyway, read that headline.
It says war against ICE. An anarcho-communist website calls for mobilization across the U.S.
So basically, let me see that again. Yeah, an anarcho-communist. So they're they're pushing the narrative that the side with Antifa and all of them are basically communistic, seditionists and insurrectionists that are trying to overthrow the capitalist system in America. And they're saying that they're back. Basically, they're saying that these people are trying to do a repeat of what happened in Russia or the Soviet Union with the communist revolution. And they're saying that they're being backed by NGOs, by secret, other parties that have interest. Yeah, the Soros-backed foundations that have interest in doing that. So now they're and yesterday I did a lesson. It's interesting how in the lesson they're tying the left to Antifa, okay, and they're tying them to nihilists. Read that. My
Anarchist News, the long-running anarcho-communist propaganda site, popular among Antifa Michelins.
So this is a news site that is basically calling for a rally of supporters to come against basically the system that is set up here. Now, before Trump got into office, there were articles that came out. We did lessons on them about how they said they're gonna cause violence. They're gonna turn shit around. They're gonna ensue chaos in here so that they don't have to abide by his reign or his rule. I remember they said that. But as we know, when they say things, it doesn't mean the next day this is what's gonna happen. But just know that let the record show that they did say X, Y, and Z. So don't be surprised when you see it, whether it's 5-6 months down the line, right? It's still going to happen. So this is giving. How do you? Here's an example, right? Somebody's over there, they're mumbling under their breath. The other side says, "What you said?" Then the other side says, "I said what, nigga?" And then it goes from that from mumbling under your breath to voices being raised. After the voices are raised, then they start stepping to each other. One steps up, so what's up? Then the other one steps up to match his energy. What's up, nigga? Now you got a nigga moment going on. And then it goes from being so close to now, so what you gonna do? Do something, nigga. And then the other one says, man, fuck, boom. Now it's going to a physical altercation. What's gonna happen? That's called tit for tat. The next person he's gonna respond with another one. He might push him, he might slam him on the ground, and next thing you know, it's escalated. Now, he might beat this dude up on the ground and then spit on him and tell him, know your place next time, and then kick him, and then turn around and dude on the ground might get up and pull out a switch, and then bam. Now it's escalated even more. So now this guy who just got shot, if he doesn't die, or even if he does, maybe he's a part of the gang. Now his gang members gonna come back. Now we waging war. Now we're gonna come back against you and your family and whoever's supporting you with guns. So now it went from shooting this guy to now a whole gang war that's going on whatever turf it is. And the reason I'm giving that example is that so long as the other side keeps on replying, it's going to escalate and it's going to justify more severe means. So when you have disagreements, which turns into I'm going to send troops into the cities, and then by him sending troops into the cities, the left says, well, we're not going to back down. We're going to organize chaos and we're going to attack the ICE facilities. Then he says, oh, really? Okay, well, now I'm going to bring even more troops and give them full force to do what they got to do. Then the other, so it's basically saying, yo, you do this. I'm gonna do this. No, you do this. No, you carnal. You carnal. It's not a joke.
Violence begets violence.
There you go. It's like trying to put out a fire with fire. You see a fire burning, you come with a flamethrower and you start burning the fire. What you gonna do? You gonna create a bigger fire. And that's what they're doing. So now they got this, basically this is organized crime, right? As they're saying. Let's band together and let's defend ourselves. How you gonna defend yourselves? Well, they already start sniping people, with a rifle in an ICE facility. So you already know what direction they're trying to go with it. So when Trump is like use full force, if them Antifa people come in there, somebody lets off a shot, the other side is going to respond with it. And at that point, that's that gang war, turf war, gang war.
Hey, don't be surprised if the so-called Antifa and all these gang people are all those people that were coming through the border, and they just been said, "Hey, listen, this is your role. This is what you're gonna do." All right, and it's all planned and orchestrated because they got millions behind it. So they could do that. They'd be like, "Look, you in your country, you ain't doing shit anyway. We're gonna bring you here so you can start some shit. We'll pay you for it. Why not? Right? You're gonna be a professional Antifa nigga, like what I'm saying. It's what you do, right? Because they got that. They pay for. They have professional protesters, literally. Professional protesters. Like you're not standing there to protest for real shit. We pay you to come and stage a protest. Like fuck out of here, bro. This all this shit, everything you seen on TV it's cinema, bro. It's cinema. It's all created. They got two different White Houses. One of them is the real one, and another one is where they come and do all the choreography and all that shit. They got cameramen. They got the speaker nigga. They got the lights. All that camera action shit. This is all staged, bro. What you're seeing is all literally a movie, man. And once you wake up to it, that's when people are like, been deceived. Our whole life was literally a Hollywood movie. Yeah. That's why they could predictably program it, show you what's going to happen, and then it ends up playing out exactly as they showed you. Okay, and people don't piece you don't put the pieces together. All right, but the point, don't be surprised if these Antifa niggas, these niggas who are going to be fighting against ICE and all that, these are all people. They're insiders. Because why do I say that? Because we just saw what happened in 2020, 2021. When the only thing that you really saw was another orchestrated left-handed protest, which was the BLM shit. But outside of that, when people were really supposed to stand up and protest, when they were being told you can't get a job unless you go take that jump shot, motherfuckers ain't protest none of that. They ain't get up and say, yo, we banding together and stopping this. Nah, they got affected by it. Most people went and took the jump shot because of that. Hey, where's that American strength? Where's that old protest? We stand up for our rights shit. Where's that at? My body, my choice, all that shit. What happened to that? Y'all niggas was quiet. Was staying at home, do shit, and that was without even a military presence. How much more now there's military in the streets? You think regular niggas gonna be standing up and saying, "Oh, we're not going to stand for this"? No. We've already seen what you American people are all about. You're gonna shut up. You're gonna and do as you're told. Because when the military is involved, you ain't doing shit about it. And we've been told you. FEMA is gonna be involved very soon. Get ready. They got the Lord got some new weather related things that's about to happen here in the East Coast as well and around the states. All right, they said there's a huge there's two tropical storms that's banding together all of a sudden. One from this side, another from this side. They banded together coming over towards the east. I said, oh shit, okay, all right, let's see. So you got that to worry about. And FEMA gonna jump right in there. They gotta harvest them organs. They gotta set some order, right? So just expect a whole lot of uncomfortable times, man. Expect a whole lot of uncomfortable times. We're indeed in a time of sorrows. All right, but you got it, bro.
That's right. Hey, when you said that, I saw a video, and it was I forgot what hurricane or storm it was, but they were basically tracking how that storm was moving on the map, and then they turned it into a meme because basically this storm went all around, almost like it was looking for Florida. And then it would go and turn around and come back in the U-turn. And then the meme is like, so the story basically said, if I were Florida, where would I be right now? And it just goes around, there he is. And then it lands, boom, and that's where it stays. So you see it on the map, it goes. And then when it gets to Florida, boom, it stays right there. And then it picks up and it gets worse. But what you were saying, if you remember, during the Biden administration, there was evidence that came out that the federal government was working with NGOs to actually bring in like truck busloads of these quote unquote migrants, okay, and just bring them in, and they were funding that, okay. So it's interesting that you mentioned about the Antifa people being these migrants because that's how majority of them got in here. Okay, I think they said it was funded by Soros, the Soros back, whatever, and so on and so forth. So that's how majority of them got up in here. They send them by busloads into the cities, and they just say, "All right, go on when it's time." And there was some that was saying, "Yo, we got a certain card that has funds on it," and they told us, "Look, you come in here, and when it's time, we'll tell you what you got to do. But for now, just go and live, go do what you got to do."
Yeah, I used to know a chick that actually mentioned to me that she used to get paid to go protest and shit.
Wow.
And she told me like they're not. This is not like some hidden council. They put this shit on Craigslist, and had people come and sign up. You know. But then there's levels. There's like the low level stooges that are just showing up. They might somewhat believe in the cause. They might not give a fuck. You know. But then you have also agent provocateurs. That's like the main ringleaders, right? And those are the ones that's kind of like rallying in the troops, rallying in the lower peons that they don't know. They're just there for like a few $100s, right? And they trying to go home at the end of the day. But it's gonna come to the point where y'all gonna go for that little check, and you not gonna make it home that day. Because right now the right hand has more that well in terms of that paradigm, the right versus the left. The right has way more power because this man is in the presidency,
Right.
and they're making Jake, aka niggas, the face of the left, right? The left is they could just replace that with niggas when they say it, because that's what Edomites. That's what them red-blooded America patriotic Edomites. As soon as they hear left, they see a nigga woman with some crazy ass hair. They see some bugged out nigga doing some crazy shit with a blunt in his mouth. That's what they see on some Boondocks episode shit. All right, so that's what they see. So when they talk about this right left, it's all see we speak in code and they do it too. We doing it righteously to edify, but they do it because they know that when language is casting spells. So when they do that, when they say left, they really mean Jake, so-called Blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. So what they're doing is they're going to bring in that hammer, and they know the hammer is going to come down harder on the left. You don't got no. What does the left have right now? Be for real. Some soft ass governor somewhere in the middle of nowhere. He's barking out against Trump. You know, I mean, New York is probably the only. You got a few Democrat cities, but they're not going to be able to hold up against the federal government when the time comes. What's that?
Like 5 times. You took me. Don't tell me.
Suspect. Yeah, he might be an agent provider. Oh yeah, that's why she don't know what she's doing. She lost. But yeah, that's what they're setting up. All right, and they're gonna come down with force, man. They're gonna come down with severe force on the left. So that's why you know you got to come out of that right left bullshit and serve the Lord. You know, and stop falling into Esau's snare, because that is the snare that's being set.
Yeah, they're gonna use their technology too. To get, they got that Gideon technology. They got all these things that they're going. What they do is they set the scene that says, "Oh, we need this, we need this." Oh, how convenient that they were actually working on this. They were working on that. Yeah, let's just use that. You know, and you're gonna see it, man. America's gonna change, just like the Demic, change things. People's perspective on the world changed during the time of the Demic. This time it's gonna change because the Demic was like a temporary thing. Right? Once they eventually, it died down, the hype and all that, cool. This is different. You got troops in your different cities, and they're gonna start taking it. They're gonna turn it draconian and more draconian and more draconian. Once again, go and watch that trailer for Gray State. You'll see that even in the playgrounds, they had troops over there where the kids were playing on the swings. They had them tanks patrolling the streets, because they're gonna tell you that we're our targets, right? First is going to be, we got to protect the city, and then eventually it's going to be seeking out targets, and they're going to say our targets are the DTs, and you're going to see that vision, that where you hear on the freaking patrols, curfews, you hear on the little alarm, whatever signals, if you are harboring any Antifa or any DTs, we're going to find you and you're going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The scriptures talk about a sound that when they hear it, they're going to be afraid. So all these things are getting ready to take place. But yeah, go ahead and read that article. And we're witnessing it in real time. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, man, because it's going to get real wild out here. People are already suffering, but they ain't seen nothing yet. Yahweh Shai said, these are the beginning of sorrows. And you already crying your eyeballs out, losing your mind on TikTok, on Instagram. Because of what? Rent, bills. Got
So I'm gonna start from the beginning. Anarchist News, the long-running anarcho-communist propaganda site, popular among Antifa militants and radical leftists.
Hear that? Militants and radical leftists. So what is that telling you? They're gonna come for the internet, and they're gonna come for the on the physical level, because where are they saying people are getting radicalized? Over the internet. They're saying these social media platforms, there's Discord, gaming platforms, YouTube, all of these platforms. They're saying is what's radicalizing these people, and then they're gonna find content creators. You know what? Give me the content creators that have been pushing off this rhetoric. Go ahead.
Issued a movement order this week instructing all anarchists across the country,
Anarchists,
anarchists,
not anarchists, anarchists.
anarchists,
Yeah.
anarchists across the country to disrupt operations at ICE facilities.
You hear that? To disrupt operations at ICE facilities. So now you see why he's sending in them troops, right? So now you having that clash. Second Ezra 15. One people shall stand up against another with swords in their hands. Remember, Ezra doesn't know what ICE is, right? Ezra doesn't know what Antifa is. He doesn't know what left and right is, but he does know that there's one people for a certain cause, whether it's race, whether it's political belief, whatever it is. It's clear enough from what you're shown that there is a certain people that are clearly on one side versus another people that are on another side. And what I'm seeing is they got weapons. Okay, go ahead.
in every city, and to celebrate life with fire against the death march of American law and order.
You hear that? Against the death march of American law and order. So you should by now see very clearly and vividly where this is going. You should see it. And whatever they're doing over there in the UK with the mandatory digital IDs, they're gonna do it over here. Okay, because they already got Palantir, they got the software and the infrastructure needed. If you recall, years ago, they were mentioning plans for building infrastructure that would support this like blockchain technology, that would support this digital ID technology and so on. They were talking about infrastructural plans, what this would look like, what can the pilot program look like. Now they got that. And now that they got that, the companies are openly saying, yo, you know what I'm saying? Let me there you go, let's make a deal, sign a contract, X amount of millions of dollars, and we'll give you the technology. So now that they have it, well, what are they waiting for? That's what they were waiting for. They got it, so now they're implementing it. And they're gonna do the same thing here. Trust and believe that the whole track and trace, tag, track, trace, whatever. Yeah, okay, it was one thing because of your health reasons, but now if they suspect you of being a DT, of course having track and trace is going to be prevalent now more than ever. We need to identify every single soul in here. We need to find out who's doing what, where they're going. It's going to be like the Patriot Act of 9/11, just in the 2025 version. Got it?
Hey, so basically, basically what we're seeing now is like literally the last step before the MOTB, because the infrastructure is pretty much all done. When you have Christine Lagarde been coming out saying that for the EU, right, basically for them to basically jump over into the system that they want, which is a digital currency, the CBDC, they have to get through the legislation part, which is the lawmakers and so on and so forth, right? So right now, when you have a state or government issued mandatory digital identification in order for you to work, what do you think is next? This is literally the door. They've opened the door and entered into the door. The next thing they're going to require from you will be you have to now your digital ID is matched with your state backed digital currency. So now your digital ID and your digital currency are all merged together. What happens then? Now they can say now you're going to see the prophecy of and he and he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. You've seen the steps to it. And we've been on that. We've been on the steps all the way from back then till now. The legislation they were passing, the bills they were passing, the technology they were building, the things that they were creating to bring it to this. How many times did you see any of our videos where we went into Revelation 13:16, breaking down the word causeth, giving you all the examples, giving you the articles of what's going on, preparing you for this time? And now the UK has taken the first bold step. What's going to happen? The rest of the European Union nations, they're going to be watching this very closely. And if it succeeds, and not if, when it succeeds, it's not going to take too long. All right. When it succeeds, they're going to all jump on board and say, oh, this works. This is efficient. This is for safety. And then over here in America, they've already started the war on the left hand side, pushing against online content, like Bakar, you were saying. They're gonna call it what? Two things. They're gonna call it hateful and harmful speech. That's it. That's all they got to do to shut down everybody who's going to speak against the MOTB, right? Which primarily is going to be the prophets. Okay, hateful and harmful, the two H's. That's it. As soon as they put that together, it's over with. Hey, we have the right to come and take your content down. You know, so pay attention, man. These things are all biblical prophecy unfolded, and it's happening fast. All right, you got it, bro.
Yeah, Con. There's that's not there, guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to elaborate a little bit on what the brother Aharon just said about hateful and harmful, right? When it comes to the MOTB. Now, when I want to focus on that harmful part, right? Because what is the MOTB going to look like, right? What is it going to be looked at as in the eyes of people? If it's something that's benefiting people, like the one guy, I think his name is Nolan Arbaugh, it's helping him be able to, I think it's teaching him language and things like that. But imagine it's like somebody has something wrong with their spine, right? They're paralyzed, they can't walk. But they put this device in them and now they're able to walk. Their strength in their legs has gotten back now. It is looked at as a benefit. It is looked at in the eyes of people. It's like, oh my God, that's a miracle, right? But here it is. We're saying, hey, don't take that thing, because if you take that, you're going to be destroyed, right? The Heavenly Father's going to destroy you. Now that's going to be looked at as something harmful. Now they can say, yo, these guys are saying something harmful. Why is it harmful? Because look, this is now the next step in evolution. This is now the next step in human evolution, where we can now merge people with technology, and hey, we can actually make people better now. Now it's no more longer the pills, no more the surgery. Now, hey, all we gotta do is insert something in your body, and now look, you can now get your life back. Now you can be able to walk. Now you can interact with your family. And a lot of people are going to be deceived by that, because they're going to look at it and be like, well, what's wrong with this? Why would you prevent somebody from doing it? It's like, look at him how he was before, and now look at him. He's healthy, he's strong. It's like, how is this something harmful? How is this something that's you mean to tell me? Oh, oh, it's him
I'll
again.
tell you, the dude that lost his license, bro.
Oh, it's this asshole.
My bad, bro.
No. But it's going to be looked at as something, what we're saying is evil, because in the eyes of people carnally, they're going to look at it as something like, yo, this is a great benefit. So just to add on to the point what Aharon said when he said hateful and harmful, hateful and harmful, when we speak out against it, it's going to look as they could use that and say what they're saying is harmful, because look, they're preventing people from bettering themselves. They're preventing people from actual medical help, things like that.
Oh, who was the guy? Was it Peter Thiel? One of them. He came out and said that if you opposing
Peter
AI,
Thiel.
it was Peter, right? Yeah. He said opposing AI advancements is going to make the Antichrist come even faster. I thought, oh shit. So there's that deception, right? Where it's like, no. If we want to stop the Antichrist, you really got to take the mark. You know what I'm saying? It's not the mark. Taking the mark is really, if you take it, you're not taking it. You know what I'm saying? And people gonna be, oh yeah, I'll take two.
That's like, what's his name? Starmer. He came out and said, you would all need a digital ID.
Yep.
Free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
Free of charge, of course. Like he's helping you. All right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's free. It's all free.
Yep.
Anytime the devil gives you something for free, you know that it's a setup. This greedy bastard don't give nothing up. Okay? This man travels thousands of miles to other countries to pillage their resources. Well, you mean now he's just giving shit out for free? No, there's a catch. There's a catch. There's always a catch with the devil. That's why you got to read the fine print. You know, the end of them commercials. You know, they're telling you all the side effects at the end. You know, but then on the surface, it's all everything's all good. But it's free of charge. We're gonna fuck you up and take all your rights. It's free of charge though. You should be happy with it. You know, and that's the same thing they're gonna be on over here. You mean to tell me I can, and then you're gonna have dummies. You mean to tell me I can get this device? It's gonna make my life better, and it's free. Shit, sign me up. And that's how you're gonna have a bunch of niggas lined up to get it, because it's gonna be appealing. It's gonna seem like, yo, this is gonna make it better, man. I'm learning 7 languages today. You know, I'm about to. I just started making 100. I never started making this much money in my whole life. The digital credit, because the more of a sellout you are, the more you conform to Esau. It's gonna be like the social credit system in China. You're gonna get incentives, benefits, or you're gonna be a celebrity. All because you got this device in you. You know, but that's all gonna be a facade anyways. Okay. And many of you, it ain't even gonna go down like that. Yo, that's when you on the job and you just trying to run the clock out.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what she doing. But yeah, you people are gonna take it because you want some of those benefits, and that's how they're gonna market it. But the reality of it is not gonna be this whole glamorous thing when you get the MOTB.
Yeah, you're gonna take that. But yeah, go ahead. Let's finish on that article. It has some good information on there, and then they're showing you what they're gonna do before they do it. It's foreshadowing. For those that have eyes to see, that is. Go ahead.
We invite all anarchists across the country.
So listen to what they're saying, and listen to the both sides of it. Right? Listen to both sides of it. This is what they're saying. Go ahead.
Not only to occupy and disrupt operations at ICE facilities in every city, but to celebrate life with fire against the death march of American law and order.
Mhm.
With tactical diversity, let's meet in the streets and wage a carnival of war against ICE and all authority.
You hear that? They said, isn't that Second Ezra 15? That's literally sedition. Okay, they're literally saying, let us meet in the streets and oppose against all authority. If you look up the definition of sedition, it will tell you that. And let's what's that? Wage a carnival of war against ICE and all authority. So it's when we when we tell you that they're controlling both sides and they're really stoking the flames of this fire, that's exactly what they're doing. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, got it. And the definition, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, let's get Second Ezra 15 where it says that.
Definition for sedition, it says conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch.
Isn't that when you read that part again? Yeah, about let us
Let's meet in the streets and wage a carnival of war against ICE and all authority.
against ICE and all authority. So they're telling you exactly what it is that the scriptures are prophesied about. Well, that,
Now, I went to the etymology.
Mhm.
It says rebellion, uprising, revolt, factitious commotion in the state,
Mm.
concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority, violent strife between factions.
is by grouping them up as Antifa and domestic terrorists, is that not a faction to come against law enforcement? And they call it the left and the right. Those are factions. Okay, ICE. Those are factions. So guess what? Now they're gonna say, oh well, they forced our hand to turn ICE into from what it originally was, okay, into fire. They might rename it to fire. But to turn ICE to fire to where now we're not just going after migrants. We need special detention centers for these dissidents. Yeah, that's what they're gonna start labeling them, dissidents, just like they did in George Orwell's 1984. That whole big threat didn't exist. Okay, it was propaganda, and the real threat was anybody that dared to question it. Go ahead.
A call for anarchist action in America, anonymously submitted on Anarchist News.
So somebody anonymously submitted this on that website for the where the Antifa militants, as they call them, be on. So now you don't know who did this, but we know how it goes. Just like they show you in the movie The First Purge. We know who's really behind the scenes, pulling the strings, and once again, stoking the fire, stoking the flames of that fire. Right?
Now, real quick. This is very interesting because don't they have the Gideon technology and Palantir technology to stop any of this madness from going on? But why is that they're letting the people hear and see and read about these things and then let it happen and then come around and say, oh, we're declaring martial law? You have this technology. Why are you not using it? For the good, right? Wouldn't you want to stop this type of madness from happening? Wouldn't you want to stop Antifa with all this pre-crime technology you have? This to show you that the pre-crime technology isn't for this type of shit. This type of shit is to set up the justification for the pre-crime against you, the American people. Just remember that. All right, now check this out. Bakar, you mentioned this, right? In the book of Second Ezra 15, I want to pull that real fast because it's literally the words of prophecy are jumping off the pages right now. We're living in those times. Okay, there's a book of Second Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." Woe means what? War. All right, a time of evil. Okay, it says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh." And when you have the Department of Defense being turned to Department of War, what happens during the time of war? It's, as it tells you in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, there's a time for everything, right? At a time of war, people die. There's blood that's shed. Okay, what did King David say when Uriah the Hittite was murdered? All right, at the battlefield, he said, "The sword, it has two sides. It kills both my side and your side. So if you go into war, expect to have bloodshed. You're not going to say, oh well, the sword is not fair because it just took out one of my men." No, he's in the battlefield. You expect that something like that is going to happen in time of war, which is what? Mass death. Okay, so it says what? "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh." It's coming close. It's almost here. "And one people shall stand up and fight against another." That's what you're seeing. The stage is being set for one people, Antifa, to stand up against the other, ICE. You have the left and the right. You have the Democrats, Republicans, the liberals versus the conservatives. That spirit is what you're seeing being brewed up right now. And there's a whole lot of witchcraft that comes with that. A whole lot of witchcraft. I'm talking about like both sides, the both left and the right. They both go into a whole lot of heavy witchcraft in order for this to work. Okay, you notice in the article they use the word carnival. Okay, that's what that's the word they use there, right? Carnival. When you actually go into that word and you break it down, it literally means flesh or meat of Baal. Okay, carnival. When you go into that word, carne means meat or flesh, and the vol goes to Baal. That's Baal. Carnival or carne Baal. That's where that goes back to, and that's all going back to revelry, the spirit of revelry. That's what you have today. People do the carnivals and all that. They're engaging in extreme revelry. A lot of them be butt-ass naked. Some of them have scantily clad clothing. And it's just a spirit of drinking and doing all kinds of crazy-ass shit. Okay, and when you actually go into the word, all right, at least the definition that it is today, it says carnival. It says time of merrymaking before Lent. All right, that's wicked as all hell. You got the whole Lent thing. You can't eat meat for a whole month. All kinds of Catholic bullshit, right? It says here, it says to remove meat, literally raising flesh, right? When you're raising flesh, what are you doing? You're inciting somebody to get into the carnal spirit, all right? You're raising your sedition, basically, all right? So it says here, it says, raising flesh, a piece of flesh, all right? It says the meaning, a circus or amusement fair. So that's also another thing to tell you, oh, okay, so I guess both sides are playing a role. A circus or amusement fair. So the fact that they're using these words, always you have to go into the words. That's how you're going to get a lot of the coding that they put. They use words not for nothing. They use words for a reason. Okay, so going back to the prophecy that Ezra saw that we're living in those times, there's a book of 2nd Ezra 15, continuing in verse 15, it says, "And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." That's the weapons. Okay, that's the weapons. You're not, again, ordinary people eventually will get to that point. But for right now, what Ezra is seeing that he's broadcasting, the most violent part of it is the beginning stage where everybody's like, what's going on? And then you got all these Antifa and the ICE, and then the military has to come in, and it's all orchestrated, bro. It's all orchestrated. It says, verse 16, "For there shall be sedition among men." That's what we're reading about, right? "And invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." That's literally anarchy, bro. That's a state without law. Okay, that's lawlessness. That's people wilding out. That's chaos in the streets. Okay, and that's orchestrated because the regular people will not do that until they're incited to do that. You have to have a starting point, which is what we know as agent provocateurs. That's what you're seeing now. Okay, both sides being funded and trained to come together to do this, fight this shit out together, so people who are around can see them, be like, oh, I'm on that side, or I'm on that side. That's all it is. The sides got to be created. The sides have to be created in order for you to have a team. All right, you have to have one group here, another group here, and then we all stand for two different things, opposing views, right? And we come against each other, and then that's where you're gonna have that clash, right? It says what? "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." You're looking at martial law right there, because when the previous verses happened, the only thing Trump is going to say is we need to bring order into our cities. The communities are wild. They're running wild. Cities are burning. Right? You're going to be hearing him make this speech. Women and children are not safe anymore. Our streets are not safe. Look what's going on. Look what's going on in Portland. Look what's going on in Memphis. Look what's going on in New York. Look, you're going to see it. You're gonna see it, man, and you're gonna go back to this video and be like, "Oh shit, those men were right." You see? But that meanwhile, while you're watching the video, they're gonna turn off all the lights. They're gonna tell you that it's for your safety. Fuck out of here. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." Okay, so you could imagine your government's using Palantir technology, all these different things that you see going on in Gaza right now. We'll be seeing that in these states as well. Anywhere that they have their so-called data centers, get ready. Get ready. That's all I'm gonna say. Just get ready. Any place in America that these devils have their eyes on, get ready. If you're there, get ready. Okay. It says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." Who would have thought America is ever going to get to that point like this, man? But the scriptures are telling you, the prophets of the Lord are telling you, and the reality is dictating that these are the days that leads to what we're reading right now. So what should I tell you, man? Brace for impact. That's what that should tell you. All right? But you got it, bro.
Hey, yeah, I pulled up. We're gonna keep making reference to this because it's pretty much what's on the books, and they going I get a feeling that they want this guy Mom Donnie to get up in there, and then they're gonna send them troops to New York because they want that clash, So they need this ninja in there, and that's why they're going little by little, but they're making their way there. And by the time he gets up in there, the stage is already gonna be set.
Notice they're holding back on NY.
Yeah.
Because they know that the top the top men of the Lord are here. Our apostles. The apostles are here. And this is where the truth branch from. So they know once they shut down this, then that's really gonna be famine of the word. And maybe not all over the states, but once it starts here, it's gonna be in other cities, and that's gonna bring in that famine of the word. So they know when they deal with New York City, that's going to be when this place is getting dealt that hard, and they talking about martial law over here. That's how it's right there at the door, and they're going to get ready to do it.
Yeah, it's like literally when Nero sent troops into Palestine, and they went and they came from Asia Minor, and then they started coming down from Syria down to Galilee. Galilee was the first place where they were at, and you had Josephus, which is actually part of the people fighting against them. But basically, they besieged it, they took it down, and then eventually they made their way down to Jerusalem, okay, which is like the main center. And after they finished that, then they made their way down to Masada, all right? So, or Masada. So, just like the brother was saying, they're moving, they're moving here, then here, then here. But there's a certain key place, that once they get there, you pretty much know, we know where we at. Now in here, it says once again the letter from Albert Pike to Giuseppe Mazzini. They had it between themselves on a plan for 3 world wars. Okay, and we know because when you go and look in history, because this was before it happened, but when you look in history, exactly what they were telling each other is how they did it, because it's not like they were predicting what was going to happen. They were orchestrating it. When the brother mentions these things are orchestrated, he's not, it doesn't mean that somebody gets shot and then the shooting is fake. No, like if they spark violence in the streets, that's actual violence. But the reasoning and the cause of it is the orchestration. Okay? Here's one example. It's like you going to tell somebody, yo, this person said this about you. And then you go and tell that person, hey, this person said that about you. And they start fighting. Yeah, they're legit going to be fighting. And then in their minds, they're going to think that, yo, I got beef with this person. But that's an orchestrated fight. Because it didn't start because this person actually started talking shit about this person. It started because you went and said that they did that. You lied. But you orchestrated that. So when they orchestrate this violence, that's what they're doing. All right. They're using deceptive means to set people up to do a certain thing. So here it says, you got something? Yeah, go ahead.
Orchestrate definition. Arrange or direct the elements of a situation to produce a desired effect, especially stereotypical, whatever, desired effect.
Surreptitious?
Surreptitiously, yeah. Oh,
So, hey, but they just like the brother went into. So we're not lying up here. We're just telling you the facts.
that word. Sorry.
You good?
surreptitiously means in a way that attempts to avoid notice or attention. So, like you were saying, in order to take attention away from themselves, hey, he got issues with you, you got issues with him.
There you go. They do, and just like that post, it said it was anonymous. They don't know who posted it, but they know it was posted on that platform. So for all you know, it could have been, from the deep state, as they call them. But it says here, I'm just going to read the main part. So they talk about, basically turning the small hats against the Muslim world, okay, and having that conflict go on. And while that's going on and while that's brewing, they said, meanwhile, the other nations once more divided on this issue, and that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing these nations divided on the issue going on. Some are recognizing Gaza as actual, recognizing it to be a state or whatnot, and Israel's like, nah, we about to go up in there and show you why you shouldn't have been recognizing it. So the world is divided on that. It says here, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. That is their plan. That's they set this on the books. Okay. So when you start seeing the descent into chaos, all right, of this group, they're DTs. Oh, this group, they're DTs. Oh, they're assassinating people. Oh, they shot this person. Oh, they killed this person. It's pushing towards that full release of the nihilists, the anarchists, right? Anarchists, to basically spew on this bloody turmoil, as they called it, a social cataclysm. So this is basically to push the world further. In order for that, imagine this, right? They've walked and they're almost at their new world order, but they need to cross this body of water here. So now they can't walk anymore. They got to do that leap, and that's where we're at. They're about to leap into their new world order, and that leaping is going to look like you weeping. Let's finish on this.
Continuing, given that anarchist news doesn't usually create original reporting, it collects and reposts content from anarchist collectives, independent media, and individuals. It's therefore difficult to determine who penned this action order.
Yeah, so that call to go into the streets and to partake and unleash in a carnival of violence against ICE and law enforcement, all authority. They don't know who pinned it, but they reposted it. So long story short, it's like from an anonymous sender, but it's like a call to action. It's gonna feel surreal when you from your house you look out your window and you actually see those troops, okay, or you see them on social media, and then what's gonna feel real surreal for people is when you hear shots outside, okay, or when you see it on camera, and it's actually looking like a war zone in a city that you may have been to. Yo, isn't that Miami? Oh, shit, yo, that's the place where we used to. Oh, look at what they're doing. Yo, he just shot this person. Yo, the dude is literally right. And then they're gonna have whoever come drag them, take their body into them portable coffins, and then that's it. Get them up out of there. Go ahead. Oh, yep. There you go.
Revelation 13:11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
Got it.
Yeah, so everything that brother's been discussing today, and for the foreseeable future, we're going into this right left setup, okay, and it's all a setup, like the brother said. Everything that they have, this whole nihilist, anarchist, communist left thing, they have to set this up because the accusation is aimed really at us. And if things were to just continue to go on as it is right now, we're not violent and we're not encouraging anybody to go up against the government.
Right.
All we do is come and read the scriptures and prophesy. But this word going out is causing these type of fissures to happen because they're subject to prophecy. Once the word goes out, once the Lord's word goes out, players have to get into place and play their part. They can't, they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're motivated to do it. they're moved to do it. They can't help but resist it. They can't resist their lot, of what they're set up to do. So everybody is moving to that tune of prophecy. But again, if it was just to continue as it is, they have no accusation against us because we're telling you, pay your taxes, abide by the government, for certain things, don't take the MOTB, of course, and use wisdom. But in terms of, pay your tax, be a law-abiding citizen, don't go robbing, doing all, because that's in the scriptures anyways. So if it was just going like that, they have nothing against us. So they have to set these situations up so that way they can have an accusation. And remember, all of this mess, right, left, they don't care about all that shit. They don't care about Antifa, nihilists, communists. They don't give a shit. Those are all means to an end. And the end is to get at us. Okay, the end is to get at the men of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. That's who they really aiming it all at. That's Psalm 64. All right, they're shooting in secret at the perfect. All right, those that have integrity, those that are upright. So this is all that setup, and remember, and that's why we look at things, measuring the time diligently, measuring with a spiritual eye to see, all right, how is this going to affect them coming at us? So that way we can prepare you believers out there, because you might say, well, what is it right and left and all this? We're talking about it because it's all prophecy, first of all, but also it ties into how they're going to put the accusation against us. And then when you know that, you're going to move even wiser, because you're going to say, I'm not going to do nothing that's going to even give it to them to make it easier for them to accuse us.
Right. Beautifully said. Yeah. Go ahead. But that's why they got these other groups set up, that purposely put it out there to give themselves that militant, like, look, guess what? It's already on the records about DT groups. They already got us on there. So when he says other T organizations or groups, it ain't like they now got to come do research on us or these other groups over here. What they do is they'll put a bad apple in a basket and say the whole basket is corrupt because we found evidence that there was one bad apple in there. So it could have spread to all of them. They might all become like that. We don't know, but for safety, we just throw it all out. That's what they do. Okay, but that's all right, because guess what? At that time, the Most High is going to counter you. And we're going to be waiting for that. Go ahead.
Still, its publication on the site suggests that Trump's DT designation of Antifa has riled up the base of far left radicals who have already been attacking ICE facilities nationwide.
So they've been attacking ICE facilities, but after Trump designated them a T org, they got mad. Now they're really coming out with it, full force. Wait, Ezra said it. He said with weapons, right, with swords in their hands. Obviously, they ain't walking around with actual katanas. They're walking around with guns. So wait till you start seeing that. All right, go ahead.
This signals a likely rise in civil T, as seen on Wednesday when a left-wing extremist opened fire at an ICE facility in Texas.
You hear that? It signals a rise in civil T. The same causes that this guy needs to bring that full lockdown to America, using force. Okay? Problem, reaction, solution. Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. That's exactly what you're seeing, a live, real-time use of problem, reaction, solution. As a matter of fact, you are part of it, because your reaction is what they're using to bring about that solution. And you will see when you hear those tanks coming down the street. Okay, when you see the videos and then the content switches. Now everybody's talking about this. Yo, you see what's going on over there here? Yo, hey, they're doing the same thing over here. Hey, man, I don't know, man. Because see, when you got people that get on social media and they'll talk about something before they experience it, saying what they're gonna do. Hey, they better watch out. We a different breed over here. MYNs over here, they got switches. Yeah, but that's because you haven't seen the overwhelming force with which they're about to actually lay siege to your ass. Because he's using warlike terms. He's saying Portland is under siege. It's been war ravaged. It's under siege by Antifa and other T groups. Why do you think he's using that? Like Ron said, they use those terms to prepare your mind to think a certain kind of way. When you think of siege, you think of war. Okay? When you hear DTs, you think of bad things. So when they come up into them neighborhoods, man, they're gonna show you. But they're purposely waiting to where, if things are bad enough and violent enough, then us shooting you or us bringing a little bit of violence is just gonna blend in. It's just gonna be a matter of who gets to use the violence and who's supported in doing it. You know, it's not going to be, oh my gosh, the federal, they opened fire on somebody. Well, they've been freaking opening fire on ICE facilities for X, Y, and Z. So once they have that, they provoked you enough so you let off the first shot, then, hey, they're justified. You know, they're going to have people say, well, why aren't you actually putting an end to this? And they're going to say, well, in order for us to do that, we got to mow them down. The scriptures talk about it. So it's not far-fetched. The scriptures talk about it. That you're going to have dead bodies out here in the streets. Okay? It's going to be like dung upon the earth. 2nd Ezra 16 talks about it, how people are going to be hiding inside of their houses. And there's going to be very few people left by those that search their houses with a sword. So you're going to have groups banding together, and you're going to have troops that are going about different cities, your Project Ciphers and all those, Operation Garden Plot and all those things that sounded like, oh, things that were on the book but never came to pass. Yo, they're going to use them. They're going to go to certain neighborhoods late at night, maybe after a holiday, Thanksgiving, you don't eat that turkey fattened up, it's late at night, boom. You wake up to flashlights before your eyes, helicopters all around that neighborhood. They're descending down. They had these drills, you know. They had these drills where they would go and they would have everybody in that building come outside, be lined up, and they would be directing them in a certain way. And people are disoriented, like, what's going on? What's happening? Just go this way, go this way, go this way. Somebody in the line starts getting disruptive. They pull him to the side. They got the silencer on the gun. So boom, now he's done. Drag his body somewhere else. It's late at night. And you're just going to hear people the next morning telling the horror stories. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I just saw they started dragging all these people outside the building. One of them acted up and they shot him. Yeah, I saw it. They shot him. They shot him and somebody came and just dragged the body out of there. And then, you know, I don't know what happened to these people. Yeah, it's about to get real spooky and eerie real soon.
Quick precept, if you don't mind.
Yep.
I got a quick precept. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, and verse. Start off at verse 1. It says, the word of the Lord Yahweh came also unto me, saying, Thou shalt not take thee a wife, neither shalt thou have sons or daughters in this place. For thus saith the Lord, meaning, in other words, don't worry about that, because your lineage is not going to progress here in this world. You don't have much time left. All right, the Lord is going to destroy all this place. Plus, they're all wicked and corrupt anyway. So just stay away from them and just focus on the journey. Because remember, as it tells you in the book of Hebrews, that we here it is that we're looking for a continuous city, for we have one to come. Roughly paraphrasing, that we don't have anything here on this side, but everything we're doing here on this side is for the preparation of what's to come next. All right. So it says, For thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning the sons and concerning the daughters that are born in this place, and concerning their mothers that bear them, and concerning their fathers that begat them in this land, they shall die of grievous deaths. Right. So we are in the time of evil. Right. So grievous deaths and dying from pestilences and plagues and all kinds of stuff is all part of it. Okay, ultimately deaths, as we read earlier in 2nd Ezra 15, woe, right? Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, right? It says, they shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, but they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth. And that's what you were saying earlier, Bukhar. And they shall be consumed by the sword and by famine, and their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. Okay, so, there's a little bit more. Verse 5, it says, For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, enter not into the house of mourning, neither go to lament nor bemoan them, for I have taken away my peace from this people, saith the Lord Yahweh, even loving kindness and mercies. In other words, the doors of mercy are closed. Okay, and that's going into Revelation 7, right, where it goes into the elect that are sealed. Okay, and then you have going down, I believe, the first three verses or so, 4 verses in Revelation, the 7th chapter. It goes into the Lord telling the angels to hold up on the plagues, right? The winds, the 4 winds of the earth, to hold up on those until the servants of the Lord are sealed in their foreheads. Okay, so once the elect are sealed, just like the time of Noah, once all the animals were brought into the ark, the animals and the people at that time represented the elect who are being delivered. At that time, once it's the doors of mercy are closed, it's over with. Okay, there's nothing you could do at that point, and everybody else at that point died. Right? That's the same thing. The Lord took away the loving kindness and the mercies. So at that point, you can't plead a case. At that point, there's no room for repentance. At that point, you can't pitch a case like the dream I had earlier this year, where you have brothers who were like, "Yo, but what about this time? And what about?" You can't pitch your case. It's over with. There's nobody's gonna be listening at that point. Let me just put it like that. All right. So you got it, bro.
Now we're going. It's a little bit more on this article. We're gonna finish it up real quick. Guy.
On Wednesday morning, FBI Director Kash Patel provided new details about yesterday's radical leftist shooter, who had written down notes during the planning phase of attack, writing, "Hopefully, this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof?"
See that? So they're it's like role playing. Wow, it's like role playing, right? Trump says these guys are T's. They come out and they say, well, you know what I'm saying? We want to call ourselves T's, but then they give you every reason to look at what Trump is saying and be like, yeah, I can see why he said that. Right? You did, oh yeah, he was writing that, I really want to incite terror in ICE. Right? So it's this back and forth, but these ultimately the Lord is setting that up, as it says in what was it in Ezekiel, that evil is coming and only evil is coming. So the Most High is sending evil upon the land, and people are not prepared. He's telling you, look, I'm about to bring destruction. Take heed, or else you're gonna get caught up in it. And they just like, they hear the words, but they stop the ear. So, like Haran said, nobody's gonna be listening to you in that time. Just know that. You people see in your minds, you think that your problem is the most important problem out there. You think that everybody has to hear what you got to say because you're in trouble. Guess what? Everybody's gonna be in trouble. Okay? So when all hell breaks loose and you come and crying, oh my God, they took my baby. Okay, why are you telling me? That's where reality is gonna hit people like, oh shit. Nobody cares. Some man just snatched up my 2-year-old daughter and ran with her, and I'm screaming, yo, he just took my daughter. All right, everybody's just going about their day because people are scrambling. Like in the movie World War Z, where they were all robbing the store, the cop comes in there. This main character thinking the cop's about to arrest him because he's looting. And the cop just pushed by him trying to loot some stuff too. Because he's like, nigga, what? Don't let the badge fool you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put you in cuffs and take you to what precinct? Did you? Newsflash, the world is being taken over and destroyed. Who's going to process you into the system? Come on, man. He's like, oh, get out of my way. If you ain't going to take that, I'm going to take it. And he's out. So, the Lord is bringing that judgment, and that's why we got that precept, because these people are going to be in terror. Once again, like the trailer from Gray State, there was a scene where you had the mother and her daughter, and they were watching what was going on the TV, and they had that face of fear, of terror upon their face. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to even go outside. Like, this is what's going on out there? You being surveillance, you being watched. Yeah. No more smiles, man. Got it.
I just wanted to say something real quick. Since you mentioned that movie with World War Z, which I believe was Brad Pitt that was in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I remember that scene in there. And there's something you notice a lot in these movies is there's an absence of the Heavenly Father, right? And when I say an absence of the Heavenly Father, meaning the mindset of the people. Here it is, the end of the world is happening, and you don't ever see them having these movies where there's never a moment where, hey, let's pray, let's turn to God. God, what should we do? No, it's everybody starts moving carnally, right? The scene that the brothers bringing to mind is when they were in I think it was like the supermarket or something like that, grocery store, and everybody is ransacking for food and things like that. Nobody is thinking spiritual about, you know what? Let's call upon God to get us out of a situation. Now, when everything was calm and normal, yeah, people might be like, God, yeah, God help me out. Yeah, I pray. But when things get serious or things get real, that whole thing goes out of the way. And like I said, there's an absence of the Heavenly Father. And that's going to be the same thing in these times where there's going to be an absence of the Heavenly Father in a lot of people's minds where they say, hey, I do believe in God. But when all hell breaks loose, you're going to be seeing people move very carnally. So that's what's going to make the elect so special. That's why it says in 2 Ezra 16, but then shall they be known who my chosen, because why? They're going to be calling upon the name of the Heavenly Father. And it's gonna be what? Those miracles are gonna be shown once that name is called upon. It's gonna be like, damn, like what the hell's going on? And that's gonna give attention and glory to the name of the Heavenly Father. I just want to know.
You had that other scene in World War Z where I think they were in Israel, and the lady picks up the microphone and she starts singing. Some loudmouth bitch starts singing on the microphone or whatever, and then everybody join in and they start chanting and they having a grand old time. Meanwhile, they're making all that noise that's drawing in zombies.
That shit's crazy.
And then they're like, yo, stop, cut it off. And it's too late. And that's what goes to show you. A lot of these loudmouth, scallywag bitches going to lead to your doom in that day, man.
Yep.
See?
Yep. Yeah, like in what's that movie? Damn, with Stacks and Smoke. Sinners. Yeah. Of course, it was once again a loudmouth, emotional woman that couldn't control her emotions. Let them all in. You know, which really they should throw her out there. She wanted to go so bad with her husband. Yeah, let her go. You know, now she done set them all up. Now they all messed up. So in that time, you know, it ain't gonna be a movie that at the end of it, you know what I'm saying, the dude got shot, but then he gets up, you know what I'm saying, he's all good. You know that in real life, you get shot up, you're not gonna be smoking and sitting up, you know what I'm saying, like everything is all good. Yeah, I'm all right. That's not what it's like in real life, bro. You don't get shot in your midsection and you get up, you bleeding, but you know what I'm saying, let's keep going.
They're right there.
The tears that gonna be coming out from your mouth like a freaking grown man screaming out there, man. You watch some of these movies like in Bushwick where the dude his wound was infected. So the I think it was the chick, she had to light a you know those things that like you sort of like drag on the ground and then, yeah, like a flare. Yeah. She had to light up a flare and then stick it into his wound so that the fire can yeah. And it was Dave Bautista, right? The actor. And so you know, she's like, here, bite on this. You know, he just bites it and she's like, "Arr, arr." Listen, bro, in real life, you gonna throw that shit out somewhere and scream at the top of your lungs because that shit hurts. In the movies, they try to depict pain by acting. In real life, you're going to feel pain, okay? And you will not be acting. So that's what we're telling you, that don't think that it's gonna be like the movies. You got shot up. All right, cool. We sorry. Let's keep on. No, nigga. Nah. And in real life, people are not that loyal. Trust and believe. Dudes ain't gonna be risking their lives to go unless the Spirit of the Lord is with you. They ain't gonna be risking their lives to say, "Yeah, no, we gotta find this person at all costs." This ain't Naruto, bro. You know, trying to go hunt down. You know, it's my. Why are you doing all this? Because you're my friend. Nigga, what? Say get that second entrance for him. It says what? Friends shall fight one against another like enemies. What you talking about? Because you my friend. You know.
Hey, Judas was a friend, right? At first, that's why you got to be like Yahushua and know who the Judas is around you. Yahushua was aware of him the whole time. You got to know who's the Judas around you, even in your family, people that you deal with. Be aware of them, because they're gonna be the ones that's gonna show up with troops and be like, "There he is."
Yep.
You know, and they're gonna have that thing right up in there. They're already doomed for destruction.
Mm-hmm.
But as I had done in transit on the way here, a whore always despised a virtuous woman. So those that consented and took it, they're going to despise those that kept their integrity. And they're going to be hell bent. Their whole life mission on that point is going to be to accuse you and somehow lump you in with them and say, listen, I'm going to die anyway, so you're going to die with me. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be sanctified and separate and holy. But that ain't up to them. That's up to the Lord. If the Lord said his virgin, his wife is going to be on the side, and the whole world is going to hate us for not consenting unto this thing. You into that conspiracy, dang, you know, you into that CT about this and that. They already debunked it. They did. My pastor told me this is not the MOTB. You know, Al Sharpton said it ain't. Yep. You know, Travis Scott got one. What's the big deal? Why are you so different? See, you that's what they write about, what they've been saying about in the news about y'all. Y'all are the cause of all the problems, man. And then you go have Palpatine, Yahoo go up there, all right, and talk his shit. Okay, and he gonna say, yeah, these Hebrew Israelites, they're a part of the woke. Anybody that's against him is woke. Yep. Now he said even those on the right are woke. The right has woke too, because they're against what Israel's doing. Come on, man, give me a break. Yep. But hey, it all has to play out like this because this is the Lord's movie. So we're gonna go through a fiery trial to get to this crown of life, but have faith in the Lord. He's gonna get us through everything, man. Yeah, it's gonna come.
God, you mentioned that. Like, it's gonna come down to the remnant, because you know, it's interesting, right? You know, now the the ratio of people who are walking around on the earth today that don't have the jump shot inside their bloodstream is so small compared to like everybody else. There's like an actual tiny fraction of people, like majority of people that you will see have it. You know, it's almost weird if like you would stand out if you were in a room and they were to randomly ask, yo, so who in here never took the jump shot? You would be able to count how many people are on your fingers. Trust and believe. You know, and what does that tell you? That goes to tell you that a lot of people they're not going to be able to make it because the Spirit of the Lord ain't going to be on them. Because why did we stand firm? Because we had faith in the Lord. It wasn't because we saw some clear way, some clear plan, and we just had like this. No, we had faith in the Lord. We said, however it plays out, we're going to trust in the Lord, and we either going to fall into the hands of the Lord or we're going to be delivered. But either way, we're going to trust in the Lord. And guess what? We all back at the same destination. Difference is we good. We don't got scars. You do. Now you got to keep, thinking back every couple of seconds. Any small thing that happens to you, is it? You know what I'm saying? Is it my time? Because you don't know what's going on. And when the MOTB comes out, it's going to be like that. It's going to be very few people that do not have it. Majority of it's going to be weird, man. Here it is. You in line, you get to somewhere and you didn't know that they were checking for it. And it's going to be weird because you're like, yo, man, shit, I'm the only one in here that everybody else is going in and they just, like it's normal. They just walk through deep, and they got to you just stuck there for a minute. People be going into the venue, they come out the venue, you still outside. Because you're looking around trying to find out how can I get in there? There's nobody I could talk to. It's just a machine, a door. And you just go in like Harry Potter in the first movie when he was first going to Hogwarts. Basically, the train that he got to catch, because it was like a magic train, he had to, the secret entrance was through a wall. So everybody who would come there, who was like a witch, they would have their cart and shit, and they would just go right through the wall, And he's out here like, all right, well, I guess I'm a wizard, so let me try this shit. They go at full speed, this shit hit, he went at full speed, his shit hit the wall and fell right back. They said, nah, nigga, you ain't getting in this time.
No access. That's no access right there.
Yeah, no access.
Access denied.
But eventually he was able to make it through. But that's what he looked like. Everybody else was looking at him like, "Oh, what's wrong with this guy? Like, yo, just go. Why can't you go?" That's what it's going to be like for the remnant. It's like, yo, what's wrong? Like, like we out. Yeah, but we not out. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. We not out because I can't go where you going. But you know how the Lord's going to flip that? Eventually, you can't go where we going. Because here it is. Yeah, you could go here. Yeah, you could do this. Yeah, you could do that. But when your Howard Shai comes back, we gonna be going somewhere that you can't follow. For the same reasons we couldn't follow you to places you were going. So that we're gonna hit that fork in the road, and the paths are not just gonna be a Y, it's gonna be a T. We're gonna go complete opposite ways. Okay, in the spirit, we may be walking next to each other, but in the spirit, we're gonna be in complete opposite ways. And when your Howard Shai comes back, we're gonna be at one destination. You're going to be at another, even though we may be standing right next to each other. And that's why the scriptures say there shall be two in the field and one taken. You got these dumbass Christians that thought it was literal. So when they thought the rapture was coming, they all went to the fields. You know what I'm saying? Because the pastor said, hey, what? It said what? Two in the field, right? So let's go to the fields. You got people that sold their belongings. They left their family and they went overseas. They went over to some farm over there in one of the African countries. Started living amongst each other. The day came and they woke up. You had a dude that said, it's on the video. He said the day before he went and sold his truck. He gave away his belongings because he's following what Yahweh Shai said, which was that go and sell all that you have and come and follow him. So he went and sold everything. He's all excited and shit. Yeah. He's doing a video and he's switching already. He's like, yeah, we got a problem, man. So he comes on here. He said, yo, he woke up the next day. He was still in his bed. And he's wondering, maybe this is a sick joke. I'll go outside and I'll see the kingdom. Nah, nigga. He woke up and he was in his bed with a couple missed calls from his boss. So he calls his boss back. He said, what's going on? He said, you ain't never been late before. He said, boss, I think we got a problem. He said, what happened? He said, so I thought the rapture was coming, so I gave away my truck. I gave away my belongings. Man, the boss said, yo, I see you at work. He hung up on his ass. I ain't trying to hear that. Because he's thinking in his mind, yo, what's wrong with this guy? the rapture, you know. But they are the ones the scriptures say are tossed to, right, with every wind of doctrine. They don't know what to believe. The literal things in the scriptures they take figuratively, and then the metaphorical things in the scriptures they take literally. So they're all over the place. They don't know what to do. They're gonna be lost as hell. When all this shit goes down, they're gonna be lost as hell, man. And you're gonna need real men, actual men, who are not just men physically, but are men in the spirit and mentally as well. Okay, mentally. All right, that's who you're gonna need in these times, man. Because it's gonna be real bad out here. And if you don't have that spirit of the Lord with you, you cannot defend yourself. There was a video I saw. I think a brother posted in the chat, and it was that the caption was you gotta have situational awareness. And you had this guy, he was walking with a chick, and the chick, she was like a Judite looking chick dressed in a promiscuous way. But basically they're walking, and there's like another group of guys, like a group, and they had guys in there walking, and I think it was like 2 or 3 guys in there. And you got the nerve, man. You got one of these dudes who basically like he walks in the middle of the guy and the girl that he's walking with and touches the girl. You know what I'm saying? On some like rub her waist type, hold her hand shit as he's walking past. And the guy that was walking with her, noticing that he just kept walking, and then eventually, went back with his girl and continued. The reason he captioned that you gotta have situational awareness is because he already examined with the way these guys are dressed with the group that's in here right now. If I was to make a big deal out of this and start some shit, it probably wouldn't end well for me, So he was like, fuck it, let's just keep going. But in that time, it won't be just a little brush and keep going. It's gonna be on some, and that's the same thing Abraham said. That's why he told Sarah, yo, just say you my sister. But hold on, they took Sarah. But why didn't Abraham say, fuck that, what I'm saying? Yo, what's up? And get ready to start. Because he already knew. He said, hold on, I'm in Egypt. The king got freaking troops out here. What am I supposed to do? So what happened? The Most High intervened. But in that time, in Jacob's trouble, you walk around, you got these dudes out here, dumb as hell. They like it when their girl dresses all like a baddie. Yeah, like a slut. And they'll tell you, oh, you shouldn't be with her if you can't handle the attention that it comes with. Oh, really? That's a field day for them niggas in jail, them gangs, them hoodlums. So in that time, you walking with your baddie showing her off, they gonna say, well, I mean, you're showing her to someone, and we here. We here for the show. We here for the show. So they're gonna get there, they're gonna say, yo, hold on, what's up? Who's that? And they're gonna take her. And if you try to do something, they'll just kill you. Because in that time, who's gonna say anything about it? And that's the time when her in that situation, she's gonna be uncomfortable, she's gonna be afraid. Do the wild goblins just looking at her drooling and shit. Guess what? Guess where her mind is gonna be? Damn. If my man that I was with just got murked, I'm totally cooked. And that's why they're gonna seek out men of the Lord. Because that shit ain't gonna be flying over here with men of the Lord. The Lord's gonna protect us and those that we're with. And you better hope that we don't got spiritual power by the time you walk past. Because just by walking past us alone, you might just be cooked. We might just release some hot ass aura and burn your face off. Here's you walking past, they just grab you by the neck, just eviscerate your ass. Just because we gonna know in the spirit, you a YN, you a wicked ass individual. And these wicked individuals, man, sometimes I got you, bro. Sometimes you see on camera the stupid, violent shit they do, and you want to just like actually, put their face in acid type shit. Because there was a video I saw. I don't know the backstory, but you had an 11-year-old girl. She was walking her dog, and you just had a group of kids and whatnot. They just started attacking her and shit. Hitting her and all that. Then she caught a seizure while she was on the floor. Fucking up. This damn gremlin of a demon. What the fuck the dog do to you? Hit the bitch, go to the dog, fucking kick the dog. Like a tiny ass little dog, kick that dog somewhere. And just hit her while she's on the floor and all that. And then they run away after. And you just watch that shit. You like, man, if we had, hey, there will be order, man. Now I see why the scriptures say you stone niggas like that. You bring them to the front where the elders are at and you stone them. And I wouldn't be throwing those little pebbles, You do some MLB freaking Tim Lincecum type pitches, 90 miles an hour.
Boulders.
Aim for the painful parts. What's that?
Boulders. Boulders.
Yeah. The
That's
boulders, yeah. The shot put, the spears, That's what you got to do because these young ages, they don't get disciplined. They don't get disciplined, man. And in that time, ain't gonna be no, oh, you're an adult, this person's a minor, you put hands on them, that's assault. You wait till that's out the way. You're gonna see the judgment the Lord is gonna bring to a lot of these these wicked gremlins. You got it, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say what you were mentioning made me think of what Elder Apostle Bar says at times. He says, "Don't worry. In that time, you don't have to find us. We'll find you."
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, imagine that September rapture bitch that was on the video. I feel dumb. Bitch, you sound dumb, you look dumb, you are dumb.
Yep.
All right, because if you believe that bullshit, she said, I'm gonna go to the Quran,
Yeah, see what that's about.
see what that's about. You see?
They
What do
gonna
you think
reject
she gonna do in that day? What do you think a bitch like that's gonna do in that day? She didn't even that September thing, I was there for her. Her faith is gone. She never had it to begin with.
Yep.
But when this day comes, she gonna line up and take it. Because she's a useless eater, man, a meat puppet. You know, and Apostle Elder Tahar made a great point on one of the lessons he did about the whole rapture thing. That you had a lot of these people selling all their shit, but that's like Christians are very selfish, man. Because here it is, you selling it to somebody else, and you're like, yeah, you can go fuck off with that. You're not warning them. Like, listen, man, things about to go down. You worried about your own ass. I'm gonna go sell my shit to you, and here you go deal with it later. That's fucked up. You don't see us out here doing it. We know the end is coming more than anybody. We being responsible through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Al Shai. You know the end is coming. I don't mean you throw your life away. You don't know when the day is. So we have to continue to keep going, go to work, go maintain your situation. And when the Lord deems it different, then we'll wait on the Lord's word. We'll wait on the Lord to determine that. See, but you people are self-willed. You want to take it into your own hands. That's not how it works, man.
Yeah, they don't read. That's why the Most High is going to judge them. A lot of them, they're just extras. But you got that in Jeremiah, and that's why the Lord said, "Don't pray for these people because they're wicked, man. They're wicked. Jake is wicked on different levels." I always say, you got Jake, you got some corporate level Jakes. They do corporate level wickedness. Yeah. Then you got the base level Jakes. They do base level wickedness because that's what they get access to. You know, you may see a Jake, but oh, you know what? He's like he's doing well for himself. Like he's not in the streets. He's not selling drugs. Yeah, but he's committing adultery. You know. So they doing. He's eating abominations. He's probably coughing on one of your videos. So he may not look like the kind of Jake that's committing outward wickedness and being a gremlin, but they all got wicked minds. They're just in different positions, so they commit different levels of it.
It's like the scribes and Pharisees.
Exactly. So the Most High is gonna clear all that up. That's why you got Trump. That cruel Lord. Hey, that's why it says the day of the Lord is cruel, right? Both with wrath and fierce anger, because he gonna have that cruel Lord performing different cruelties on you. Got it.
This is Jeremiah chapter 18, verse 22. Let a cry be heard from their houses when thou shalt bring a truth suddenly upon them.
That's the key word. Suddenly upon them, where they don't expect it. From their what? From their houses. So they're gonna be thinking they're comfortable when they shall say peace and safety. You know, when they're chilling and whatnot, and then boom, the Lord descends upon them with that judgment. That's how the Lord strikes. He's not gonna give you a warning before he strikes because he already gave you warning. The fact that he's about to strike you means he already gave you a warning. Okay? And if you didn't know it, you didn't recognize it, that's on you. But as it says, let a cry be heard from their houses. When what?
Let a cry be heard from their houses when thou shalt bring a truth suddenly upon them.
And that's what's going to happen. Their habitations, their cities, that's why the scriptures say the cities shall be troubled, and men shall be what? Afraid. People are going to be scared because the Lord is going to bring judgment upon them. Those troops are going to be mean. They're going to be vicious. They're not going to care about your tears. Because guess what? Some of these guys, they're already mentally trained. And in war, tears don't mean shit. Because when they go to these other countries and they go in there, they're pillaging the village, so to speak. Yeah, they're women, they're children, they're people that are crying. That's not something that phases them. So you think they're going to come here and they care about your tears? Like Aharon mentioned, that the ICE situation. The lady was crying because she was distressed that her husband got dragged away. And she keeps crying. And you know what? The guy was just getting frustrated. He got so frustrated, he grabbed her ass, pushed her all the way back into the wall, and then onto the ground. He wasn't trying to hit her. He said, get her out of here. So, you know, you thinking that you're going to cry and your tears are going to do something, they don't care. And you'll find that out the hard way. On that?
No.
All right. You got that?
All right, please, sir.
You got it.
Hosea 10 and 13. Ye have plowed wickedness, ye have reaped iniquity. Ye have eaten the fruit of lies, because thou didst trust in thy way in the multitude of thy mighty men. All right, so yeah, Israel, Israel should be sowing in righteousness, to reap mercy. But what are they doing? They're sowing, as it said, right? You have plowed wickedness, you have reaped iniquity. So yeah, when you set a garden up, eventually fruit's going to come of it. There's going to be a result, in other words, right? So there's actions leads to consequences. When you sow that garden, if you sow it with thorns and poisonous shit, that's what you're going to reap. And that's what Jake has done by trusting in iniquity, trusting in Nero Trump. Okay, a lot of you northern tribes trusting in, I sent brothers the video about the Cubans dancing and doing the South for Trump. What happened? Okay, don't throw, but I love you. What happened now? He don't give a fuck about you, man. That nigga Godfrey's hilarious. But yeah, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. All right, the tribes they want to trust in iniquity. You want to trust in Egypt. You want to trust in oppression. Okay. You want to commit iniquity. What's going to happen? You're going to reap the same. And now we're at the point where everybody's going to reap what they have sown. All right. And what is the men of the Lord, the remnant doing? They're sowing unto the Spirit. All right. So what do you think is going to happen? We're going to be good in that day. Even though we're going to be going through trials, tribulations, obstacles, the Lord is going to protect us, man. All right. I don't want Ratazal, we stay in this thing.
Oh yeah. It's about to turn up. Got it.
In the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16 and 22, and it reads, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine.
You're gonna have a lot of people dying due to lack of food. Go ahead. And because of the way society is set up, the tiniest disruption means you're not getting food to eat. Because you know how many things need to work in sync in order for you to get food to your supermarkets? From transportation to manufacturing to production. Okay, all of those things, they gotta work. Construction, the roads gotta be good, the people bringing it gotta be, everything gotta be in sync. So with the disruption that's about to come, you're not getting that food. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why it's called a supply chain. There's a chain. There's a start point, a middle point, and an ending point. The ending point is where you get to pick up the stuff from the grocery store. The beginning and the middle. Right now, you're having issues with the beginning part, which will affect the middle part. The beginning part is the stuff coming in. These tariffs are hitting. Now truckers are saying that there's nothing to even work with. So that's a problem. So that's going to affect the middle part. And the middle part consists of the truckers being able to pick up this stuff and bring it to a grocery store. So if that part is affected, then you know damn well that there's going to come a time where people are going to literally die because there's no food. Okay? You got it, bro.
Oh, when you said that, it also reminded me. I was going to say this earlier. So as they're bringing these troops over here, like the dream that the brother, I believe it's Rapab Math, had about them basically like closing off the American people by building a wall to where now there's 100 miles worth of just land, like desert land before you can get to Central America or get to the original border between the U.S. and like Mexico and so on. Guess what? The brother's channel was Friends of the Prophets. He did a video going into how he like that's pretty much how it is when you're actually driving in that area. It's just like bare land. That's why a lot of people they would die trying to cross that, make it past that. So here it is. Well, there's, like the scriptures say, right? There's going to be trouble within the city, and there's going to be trouble without. Okay, so here it is. You're stuck in here. You're surrounded on the east by water, on the west by water, on the south by a wall. That even if you try to scale and make it past, it's a death sentence because you ain't gonna make it past that. Okay, and then on the north, you surrounded by a border, being bordered with Canada. When shit gets bad enough, they're gonna lock their shit up, and you ain't getting out of there. So now what? You stuck in here. The Most High is and when he finally seals it off, it's gonna be like the reverse ark, as to where Noah's Ark kept you out of harm's way. This is gonna keep you in. He's gonna lock you in and say, yeah, there you go, keep you in the harm's way.
Hey,
And he's gonna let the judgment. That's why he says he's gonna let the judgment sit. like a fat. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's crazy too because that dream that the brother had was so on point, and you could tell as a prophetic dream slash vision because Esau, when you go to the border patrol and all that, what they,
666.
what's that?
When you just say Esau, is the car with 666 on the license plate just passed by.
Look at that. But basically, right? Esau considers anything that's a border. He considers basically 100-mile radius. So it's crazy how the brother had a dream about the 100-mile radius, but it's actually anything 100 miles away from any border is considered still part of the border where border patrol still has power over. So if you live anywhere within 100-mile radius of any border, meaning the East Coast, the West Coast, the North, and the South, all right, you're in harm's way. Now, if you're living anywhere 100 miles radius from an airport, because an airport is also considered a border, okay, because it's a place where you're gonna do a transportation from this land to another land, right? So that's considered also a border. So anywhere 100 miles radius within that space, you're also in harm's way. If you're anywhere that's like close to a shipping dock, okay, that's also considered anywhere 100-mile radius within that space. That's also considered a border. So just think of that. Think of all the airports that we have. Think of all the shipping docks that we have. Think of all these different places. And then if you live within a 100-mile radius of that, you're already in harm's way. So they already have a strategic way of coming around and getting people and so on. And so it's literally like clamping down, man, with the military. And it's going to happen. You're going to see everything that we've been saying is all going to come to pass. Okay. And the American people, we've been telling you, you are the enemy of the state. When they say they're preparing for war, you are the people they're coming after. We told you about Rex 84. You're going to start seeing that unveiled very soon. All the stuff that Trump is doing is getting ready for Rex 84 / martial law. Okay, and with that, you're gonna start having them rounding up people. They're doing all this ICE and all this shit. Prepare. The war that they're waging is on you, the American people, man. For the New World Order to work, they got to destabilize America, change it for what it is. Okay, and the people today are from the world of the so-called Constitution when it worked. So now they're grooming the generation from now, the youth, the Gen Z, and all of them. They're being groomed for the New World Order. Okay, so what they're being taught in school has nothing to do with anything that will be beneficial to them in a form of able to resist against a government. No, they're not being taught that shit. And those who were taught that shit back them years, they're 50 years older now. Some of them 40 years older now. If you were 50 years old when all this shit started, you damn near you're probably out of here already, right? So there's a lot of people now who don't know what the hell happened back then. So there is no connection there, and the people who are here now have no idea what the hell is going on. From the past, from the present, and the future, they're completely lost. They're literally a lost generation, Gen Z, that is. All right, but everybody else prior to that, we are literally the last, basically the last people left on the earth that actually know what the hell is going on. Everybody else is gone, bro. They're all gone. They're all through, and that's why you were saying back before you mentioned a few minutes ago that the remnant, those who are not going to end up taking the C hit because they understand what it is going to be a very few number compared to those who are going to take it. Okay, because that very few number are the ones that Esau is going, this whole system, they're going, because they said it during the CV, that we're going to come look for you, we're going to come find you, we're going to chase you down, all that shit is going to be coming for those who don't comply with the system. If you don't have a digital ID, all right, you don't have all those things going on, you will be deemed a domestic T. We're telling you right now off the top. Okay, because you can't be identified, right? You're not part of the system. Why is that? Why is that you're not part of the system? Right? Because if you're not a criminal, then we'll have all your information. But being that we don't have your information, that means that we deem you a threat because we don't know who you are or what you are. You're not even in the system. Where do you come from? How are you in America, but you're not in the system? You see? So all of us who are not going to be part of the system, we will be deemed domestic terrorists, domestic T's. It's like it. We're going to be deemed second-class citizens, right? We're going to be deemed all kinds of shit so they can be justified in coming against us. Okay? This is going to be the true Jews that are going to be facing the so-called Nazi regime. That you're going to start seeing that. Okay, the Gestapo and all that, they're going to come for the true men of the Lord. Okay, but that's when the games really begin. All right, because this time it doesn't go your way. No. This time it goes the Heavenly Father's way. All right, you got it, bro.
Let's jump down to the you see around the 70th. We're gonna close it out with that. right? 74.
This is second Esdras 16 and 74, and it reads, "Hear, O ye my beloved, save the Lord.
That's talking about the Lord's elect. Okay, go ahead.
Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same."
So we already know that it's going to be days of trouble. It's going to be hard times. But we also know that the Lord said he'll deliver us from those same troubles. So we don't have to fear. Go ahead.
Be not afraid, neither doubt.
So we're not afraid as these things are approaching because we'll see them happening, but the Lord is going to preserve us from having to suffer them. Go ahead.
For God is your guide,
hmm
and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts.
Yeah, and we do our best to follow the ways of Yahweh by Shem Shai, right? First and foremost by doing as we've been commanded to come and teach. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord, so that your sins prevail not, and your iniquities gain not the upper hand.
Yeah. And so, as it says, we know and recognize the Most High as our guide. And when we get to the time when we need guidance, the Lord is going to intervene and he's going to give us that guidance. So we're not stressed. We're telling you that you should be stressed because you're not doing the things that are going to get you a stress-free time when all hell breaks loose. So you know what? That's the message. That's the warning to you. And, as we're speaking it, it's already happening in real time. So you people better get ready because hard times are coming. And a lot of people ain't going to make it out of it. Division and then war. You guys got anything else? All right. Cool. Perfect. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Rakak, Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.
Shalom. Yabashmir Shabrakatam. Shalom.
Shalom.